You also spoke about fighting in New York City in November, still went out to Singapore, got the job done, right? But it's safe to say you want to fight in the Northeast sometime, right? You want to get the family out there, the friends out there. I could see it. I could tell.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I could just I flew across the world. So I went as far as possible. Now I'd
Sure.
like to go as short as possible the distance.
How are you feeling? UFC
Um,
debut, you must be riding high.
oh yeah, I am riding high. But I also, I mean, it has been a little rough. I got in a car accident, so that sucked.
Oh, get out of here.
Jesus Christ, I'm trying to keep my iPad to stay up.
No worries, man. It's all right.
Um,
You got into a car accident.
yeah.
Are you all right?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
Surprisingly good. I could have been a lot worse. Um, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Keep going. Just gonna take an extra week off, and I'll be good.
I'm glad it's nothing too serious, man. That's good. But obviously, I reached out to you. I've been a fan of yours for a long time on the regional scene. Saw a bunch of your fights early on. When I saw you go into the UFC, I was excited. So I'm curious. Much similar to the win that I'm sure you're riding high and excited about, right? How was it for you to just be in the UFC now overall? It's got to be like a dream come true for you, right? I mean, this is the big stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is like it's I like to say like I'm on the last road. Like
Yeah.
I it's a very long road ahead of me till I get to the title and everything. But I'm on that last road. I'm looking down that road. So it's exciting. And
Right.
it's a lot of things have paid off. It's a lot of validation, like, oh shit, like I belong here, like this is where I'm supposed to be. So there's a lot of mixed emotions into it.
If we go back to September 7th, 2019, right? You had a couple of losses. I know the last one was like a doctor stoppage, but right, if you fast forward to now, right? Obviously, you're on quite the run, right? 7 straight wins. What were you able to do to get back to the winning ways, build that momentum? Did anything change along the way for you over the course of the last 4 years?
Honestly, the biggest thing was my mental space, like just doing everything that I can. Like I wasn't putting fighting first as much as I should in all facets of my life. And I had to, my coach was like, hey, you got to fix your shit or I'm not getting another fight. And so I had to kind of reevaluate a couple things and recenter myself and just put myself back on the best path. And that was honestly all of it. It was just bringing myself back mentally where I needed to be.
Same coach you have now?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. He's been my coach my whole career.
Yeah, it seems like you have like a tight knit group in that gym, right? What's the name of the gym?
It's called the Rough House in Groton,
Okay.
Connecticut.
I
Yeah,
saw
no,
that there, yeah, because I saw them show out early in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I mean, he's fighting early, man. They're out there, they're watching him. That was awesome.
yeah, no, that was they put a watch party on at the casino
Yeah.
at like 5 in the morning, putting up.
I mean, I'm sure there's still people there, right?
Yeah. People are always there gambling, um, but there was a lot of people who turned out for me, and I'm very grateful to have that kind of support.
For sure. And obviously, it was an early start time, right? We just talked about that. What time did you fight at, more or less?
6 p.m. So there's a 12-hour time difference from here to Eastern to East Coast. So I think I started walking a little bit before, or I left the locker room a little bit before 6. After that, I didn't know what time it was.
Obviously, it's kind of a weird, time to be fighting, right? Do you do anything beforehand to prepare for that, to acclimate for that? Like, are you maybe training early or doing certain things or no?
I mean, during the week we were doing our like normal, so it's not too different because normally my practices start at 7:30 p.m. So it's only a little earlier, but a lot of the times I go in early at like 5:30 or 6 to start working out earlier. So it's something that I was already used to. And when we got out there, we just started doing our warm ups and our practices leading up to about when we'd be fighting. And listen, I mean, if you told me I had a fight at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can adjust. I'll be all right.
Right. I guess that's part of being a pro fighter, right? Is you got to adjust, I guess.
Yeah, and like there's a bunch of things that, especially when you get to higher levels, there's a bunch of things that throw you off your game. But you just gotta, once you get down to it, it's like just turn it into a dogfight, and see how it goes.
Right. Especially once you climb the ranks more, there'll be like short notice fights, opportunities you can't pass up on. Right. So I guess it's good to kind of prep yourself for it now. Right.
Yeah, and part of that too was like I guess a good experience that I've had in that was my entire like basically my entire career up until this fight. I never really had a routine. I never really did things all the ways the same. Like there were certain things like the weight cuts similar, training similar, but there was never a routine. Like this is my warm up. This is what I do. This is I make sure I do these stretches. It was always kind of just figured out as we go. So there's no comfort in that. So you're constantly adjusting. Like there was one time I forgot my mouthpiece and I had to use my coach's car mouthpiece. And there's one time they haven't played my song or they played the wrong song.
Yeah.
And so it's shit that's gonna get thrown at you. And
Mhm.
you gotta be able to deal with it.
Got to roll with the punches. Right. And now
Oh, yeah.
I'm wondering, right, sort of this, where you seem to like be dialed in all the way now for the first time, starting the last fight. Is it because of those, the three big letters? Is it because you got signed to the UFC? Was that the wake up call you feel you needed? Or maybe not the wake up call, but you know what I mean, right?
I get what you're saying. I mean,
Is it
sort of.
because of that? You get into the UFC and it's like, man, I got to turn it up to a 10th now,
Nope. No, not exactly. Because part in part, like I started doing a lot of things better. Part in part because of my injury. I started taking recovery a lot more seriously. I started seeing a kinesiologist. I got my own ice bath and everything. So I started taking recovery a lot more seriously. I was a lot more structured in my routine and I was a lot more consistent. Weight cut was a lot easier because I was a lot more disciplined during the camp. Um, and I ended up being leaner at the end. I've been doing a lot of mental work these past few years with my own therapist and with the therapist the UFC offers. So kind of the UFC has helped me take a next step. The UFC also offers like a bunch of tests. Like I went out to the PI in April to do a bunch of different testing, and they are like, all right, this is where you're weak, this is where you're strong. Let's focus on this while you're like for the lifting programs they give me. So like all of my lifting changed to start covering where I'm weak, and everything got a lot more specific. Everything got a lot more dialed in, and it wasn't because I mean, in part, it's because like yeah, I'm in the UFC. I got to start doing shit right if I want to continue being where I'm at.
Right.
But this was also a lot of things that kind of things started falling in place because I've wanted to do these things for a while,
Okay.
but I was working two jobs when I at the start of my career, two, three jobs to get a couple hours here, get a couple hours there so I can pay my bills. And I don't have the luxury of being able to do as much recovery as I like. So because of where I've gotten myself and set myself up, I'm able to give more of my life to fighting.
It's good that you're able to go about it now in a much more calculated way too. You got the resources. That's good. And interesting enough, you brought up the mental part of it, right? You did mention that after the fight that, the mental was something you were focusing on a lot more going into this past fight. I mean, you're walking out and you look like you've made the walk about 100 times. You looked super comfortable. Your demeanor definitely showed that. Did that have anything to do with it? Did that tie in from, how I saw you coming out in the walkout? The body language is good. You look confident, you look confident, sharp. Does that tie into the mental preparation that you did beforehand at all?
100%. I was the guy. So I was working on like sports psychology with the UFC. His name is Makai. Great
Okay.
dude. He's helping me a ton. But a lot of it has been all right. How do you deal with the anxiety of high stress situations? Basically, it helps you every day in your everyday life. Like when I lay down to go to bed at night, and I'm sitting up thinking about the fight. It's like, all right, it's not here yet. So don't think about the fight. You need to go to bed so you can get rest and recover for the next day. If you're in cardio and you're starting to hurt and you're thinking about I'm tired, it's like, nope, refocus, center yourself and set an intention of just work hard. So basically it all comes down to like when you get distracted by these thoughts that pull you away, whatever it is, you just got to bring yourself back to your present moment. Like bring it here and what are we focusing on? So like for me, I always get super nervous. I always get super emotional and super nervous before the fight. But before the fight, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna relax a little bit. I laid down, closed my eyes for a second. Was able to rest a little bit, give my body a little bit of relaxation. And then when I got up, I was good, and all the nerves were gone. And a lot of it was just, all right, just jab and circle, keep your hands up, jab and circle, keep your hands up, keep your chin down. And I thought about that before I walked out, thought about that as I was walking out with other thoughts mixed in between. I thought about that in the cage. I hit a little mental reset. Like I like doing feel your hands, feel your feet. What can I see? What can I hear? And then I say, keep your hands up, jab and circle, jab and circle. So it's just a constant come back here, come back here, come back here. What are we doing? What's my focus right now? And that's all that, like doing that is what helps you stay calm in those high tense situations. Because no matter what, every person, we're all human. We're all going to get anxious and nervous. We're all going to have thoughts that aren't the healthiest of thoughts. You just got to recognize them and pull yourself back to where you need to be right now.
Look, I mean, it sounds like it worked for you. It looks like it worked. That's why I asked the question, because you definitely showed, you were exuding confidence just walking out into the cage, right? As far as, the fight inside the cage, what went down, the shots you were both landing early on, they were pretty vicious. I mean, did you see this fight going the distance when you got matched up with a guy like that? Because both of you guys, I see this matchup and I'm like, man, I don't know if this one's going the distance. And it didn't.
No,
So
I wasn't expecting it to go. Like there's always a chance he knocks me out. But I was pretty confident that it was. I thought I was going to take him down and finish him. I didn't think I wanted it on the feet, but I didn't. That's not what I was expecting. But that's just kind of how it turned out. But during the first, like I always prepare myself for 15 minutes, and during the first round, he hit me with one shot that made my left eye a little blurry, and it kind of sucked. Didn't feel the greatest. So I was mentally like kind of talking to myself, preparing myself, like, all right, I might get beat up for 15 minutes. Like because I knew I was doing something wrong because I was eating some shots from him. So I'm like, all right, I'm doing something wrong. And it was how I was circling. I kept circling and then coming back in front of him and sitting there. And then I was getting hit. So as I was like, all right, I'm doing something wrong. So I was kind of thinking about the whole 15 minutes of this. This is just going to suck. Not that I wanted it to go that way. I was just preparing myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think even Bisping alluded to, bless you, by the way. And I think even Bisping alluded to this. Did it feel like the type of fight where you might have to get hit one or two times just to get in there and land some shots of your own? Did it feel like that kind of fight as well? Because again, I know Bisping alluded to it, but I'm curious as to what you think about that.
It didn't have to be. It ended up kind of being like that. Somewhat. Some of the exchanges, it was very much so. He would hit me and I'd hit him back. He would hit me and I would hit him back. But that is like when I was leading with my jab and I was circling a little more, it wasn't that. So had I kept doing that and been a little more disciplined in certain situations of the fight, it would not have had to be that. But it partially was and would have continued to be that.
The inside kick you were drilling, that was money. I mean, was that something you were working on in camp?
Oh yeah, we've been working on that, but I was doing it. So I was hitting it naked, like Paul Felder called, which he was the right call.
Yeah.
I should have been pumping my jab into it, but we had a couple things set up off of that. Like so, I was setting up the inside kick to do other things. Like it was just going to turn into more, but we didn't get far enough to use it.
It was a great fight. It was exciting. I mean, after the fight, I couldn't help but notice you shouted out a teammate. It seemed like the guy meant quite a bit to you, right? Can you talk about, I know you said he helped you, this teammate, right? Can you talk about a little in depth as to what he helped you with and how he was there to sort of help you prepare for the fight? And by the way, I'm very sorry to hear about what happened to his sister. We wish his family all the best.
Yeah, of course. It's never an easy thing to go through. So they're all struggling through it, but
was that him that was emotional behind you?
Yeah, that was him. So like that's the thing is like she passed away the week before the fight, and he missed her funeral service to come out for the fight. It's like the commitment that he's had for me it's been there the entire time. He's when I showed up to the gym and didn't know jack shit except for some wrestling, he was already there. He's been beating the shit out of me my entire career. He's been jabbing the shit out of me for years now. My striking is what it is because of him. For a while, it would be me, him, and my coach at practice. Like we have a pretty small gym if you look online, and now we've got a good amount of people in it. But it used to be just us. Like it used to be just a few people. Some other people would come in here and there, and but we were the only fighters, and which is a interesting dynamic, but it's like we've been boys since. And but he's my number one training partner. We always do drills together. He's the other fighter that's around my size. Like I have other teammates who fight. They're 45ers. So they're good work, but he's my same body size. So he's always in the drills with me. We're always he's pushing me the most in sparring because he's got the best jab in the room, and he's the tallest and the longest, and it's hardest to reach. But he's always committed, and it never wavers. And I was trying to do something, trying to give him some of the light for that.
What an unbelievable friend you got there, man. That's a great story. The gym, you said it was small. Are you the first UFC fighter, hopefully champion one day, right? But are you the first UFC fighter to come out of that gym?
Yeah, I'm actually the only pro out of the gym right now too.
That's crazy, man.
I got two teammates who are about to go pro. Austin, the one who came out with me, lost his sister. He's about to go pro this year. And then another, Randy Francis, he's about to go pro. They both have a shit ton of amateur fights, and they're going to smash it on the pro scene. So hopefully a year or so, they'll be getting their chance at the UFC.
You guys are all young, right? You're 25. Are they similar to your age?
Yeah, so Austin's 26, Jake's 27, I think Randy's 29 or 28. So we're all under 30.
And speaking of you, man, I mean, listen, you look like a very good fighter already. You got a lot of promise. What are you, like 9-2? I mean, do you ever think about the fact that you're still maybe 4 or 5 years away from your prime? Like, that's safe to say, right?
Oh yeah, I can't wait till I'm 30.
That's not something you hear very often, but I guess in fighting it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, once it'd be nice if I could get to 30 and then stay at 30 for a long time.
Sure. Maybe just get to 32 max.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But no, it's definitely, we got a young gym. Like we even have a kid, he's turning 18 soon, and he's got to be fighting as soon as he turns 18. And we got another guy, he's graduated. He was wrestling in college. He's going to be making his debut hopefully soon, potentially this year. It depends. He's got to loosen up a little bit. But we've got a young team, but it's growing. And now that I've made it to the UFC, it just makes their lives. They've got a lot more resources. They've got a lot more opportunities now just because of that.
Seems like you got your head on right, man. It's from a moral perspective, as a teammate, as a fighter. So I'm glad to see that. We're talking about your gym, right? Is that in Connecticut?
Yep. So that's in Groton, Connecticut. It's small gym, but it's we train Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. We go until we're done. It's usually like 10:30. And we get a bunch of guys in and out of there. Like Brennan comes down a lot. We get some other JU wrestlers down. I train with Gary Boletto quite often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that seems like you guys got a solid room in there. I think it'll only go up from there, right? Obviously. And listen, the reason I asked about where you guys train in Connecticut is because you wanted to fight in Boston, right? You also spoke about fighting in New York City in November, still went out to Singapore, got the job done, right? But it's safe to say you want to fight in the Northeast sometime, right? You want to get the family out there, the friends out there. I could see it. I could tell.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I could I flew across the world. So I went as far as possible. Now
Sure.
I'd like to go as short as possible of a distance. It'd be nice. Worst case scenario, there's another there's 2 other cards in November. There's Vegas and Brazil. I don't really want to go to Brazil. Not just yet. But I would do Vegas if I don't get on Madison Square Garden. So we'll see.
Absolutely. As far as a fight, I know Bisping asked you when you finished the fight in the post-fight interview, he asked you when you want to get back in there, if I'm not mistaken. But now that you've had some time to, wind it down, enjoy the victory, sort of maybe look ahead now, have you thought about when you actually want to get back in there, more or less?
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to get back in there in November.
Okay. So November for sure. New York City's your number one target right now.
Yeah, I'm waiting on something for that. I'm not going to get something right now. We'll see. I know it's a very popular card, so there's a chance that I don't end up on it. But if I don't get on that one, then I could definitely end up on the Vegas one that's in November.
I'm from New Jersey, New York area. And if there's one thing we like is exciting fights. So Hey, man, I mean, even if they throw you on the prelims, that's exciting to me, man. Why not, right? I mean, if the UFC would listen to this, why not? Hopefully we can get you on there.
Yeah, they got to get at least some local guys. That was the thing about Boston. I was like, you guys have nobody local. Like, just stick me on the prelims. You'll get at least some local guys in the arena on
Yeah,
the prelims. Because if not,
absolutely.
not too many people are going to see the prelims otherwise.
Mhm. I think a fight of yours is perfect to throw on a prelim. It excites it, man. At least for the time being. Obviously, you want to work your way up, but listen, man. Hopefully, we could see you in there, New York City, November next. But as of now, I do appreciate the time. And regardless of when you fight, I'm excited to see who you get matched up with. So we'll see how it goes out. Thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate you.